So in this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can build a Kidizen dropshipping business super fast with little to no extra effort. Now, when you're doing all these things, obviously, first and foremost, you want to leverage software. So two of the softwares that we're going to cover in this video are going to be ZDrop and List Perfectly. I use them every single day in my own dropshipping business, and they are phenomenal time savers. They also move your products from site to site, as you'll see, very, very quickly, and mark the products up as well. Now, with anything, so if we just go to ZDrop, for example, and I've done so many tutorials on both of these and List Perfectly, you'll notice that they both list to several different websites. So ZDrop specifically will list to all of these websites, meaning it will copy products from all of these suppliers, as you can see, and there are probably 100 or so, if not more, and they'll copy them in seconds to these other marketplaces here that you see. So Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, Poshmark, Depop, etc., etc. Copy the product pictures, the title, the description, and mark the price up all in real time for you. It saves you so much time. So not only can you do it one at a time if you want, but you can also do it in bulk by adding it to the bulk lister with ZDrop. Now, I've done a million tutorials on this. I'll show it to you here in a second if you want to go ahead and use that. But also with List Perfectly as well, you'll also notice that this also cross posts. So basically what cross posting is if you have listings up already on Facebook Marketplace, you can then cross post them from Facebook Marketplace to Poshmark, or from Poshmark to Shopify, or from Shopify to Depop, or from Depop to eBay and Shopify and Kidizen, right? So it's a cross posting software, as you can see from this picture. Saves you so much time, helps you sell more, helps you make more money. That said, that's the basics of it. And you can do extremely well just understanding that. But if you want to do even better with less time, which is what today's video is going to be talking about specifically, you'll want to understand that there are a lot of other better ways that you can utilize both of these softwares if you understand how to list on each of them and which specific softwares list to which specific sites a lot faster. So a perfect example of this in today's video is going to be, we're going to list products to Poshmark, understanding that we can list products to Poshmark super quickly, and then also list them using ZDrop so we can sell them on Poshmark with the bulk lister, but also understanding that using List Perfectly from Poshmark to Kidizen happens super fast, right? So if you understand that List Perfectly lists from Poshmark to Kidizen extremely quickly, but it might not list as fast from Poshmark to Depop, for example, and each specific marketplace integration from site to site is slightly different, you can then utilize both softwares and only specifically list from one software on one specific site if you know it's faster, right? So for example, if you're still not following, let's go to Amazon and we're going to type in, like, let's say kids toy, right? Because we understand that you can list kids toys on Poshmark and you can also list kids toys on Kidizen. Now, if I were to go into this random dance mat here and I were to use ZDrop to list to Kidizen, it works extremely well and it works pretty quickly, right? It's going to do everything that we've already covered. It's going to copy the title, it's going to copy the description, it's going to mark the price up, it's going to copy the pictures, all to Kidizen very, very quickly. But it also does the same thing to Poshmark very, very quickly as well, right? And understanding that List Perfectly copies Poshmark listings so fast, we can then utilize both of them to list a lot faster. Let me show you an example of this. And this is exactly the method that I teach my VAs to do in my business. So we list a bunch of things really fast to Poshmark, and then we'll then take those Poshmark listings and use List Perfectly to take them to Kidizen, understanding that that's going to take maybe 5 to 10 minutes, if that. And we're talking about like dozens of listings at a time. So for example, let's take two of these really fast just to kind of show you. We'll do these two dance mats. You also obviously need to know what products you can list on what websites. Obviously, Kidizen is specifically for kids' toys, kids' clothing, kids' stuff, kids' accessories, and anything for like maternity or moms. But you can't list like electronics there. So you just need to understand the different nuances of each specific website. So as you'll see here, these buttons right here, these red buttons are ZDrop. So we're just going to copy to Poshmark, then hit paste by ZDrop. And now it copied the pictures, as you can see, the title, as you can see, although it's a little bit long, we need to shorten it specifically for Poshmark. It copied the description, and it will also mark the price up as well. So right here, it has $44 in the original price, and mark the price up to whatever you set it in the back end of your ZDrop settings, right? So if you need to set ZDrop up, you just go to ZDrop, which is the extension. You go to the settings, And as soon as it loads here, you can set the profit. You can see that I have the profit specifically for Poshmark at 75% because Poshmark has the highest fees. You don't need to list that high, but it just gives you a lot more margin on specific sites like Poshmark. If I were listing to Facebook Marketplace, I'd probably have this down at like 40 or maybe 50%, which is still slightly high, but each marketplace has different fees and Poshmark is the highest. Another thing to keep in mind as well before we start listing both of these is if you have like 10 to 20 things up, which is exactly what I tell my VA to do, instead of manually copying them one by one to Poshmark or to whatever website, you can just save them to the bulk list here. And then you can run the bulk list. If you say, for example, like 10 or 20, you can then run the bulk list from ZDrop. They'll all add to this bulk list here. And I don't have anything in my bulk list currently, but if I were to add something, then it should pop up in the bulk list, and there you go, right? So as you add more and more things to your bulk list, you can then come in and select them all, and there might be 10 there if you've added 10, or 20 there if you've added 20, or whatever, and then select them all, and then run the bulk list after you've selected them all, or whichever ones you want to select. And then it will list them all super quickly, and you don't have to manually list them all. You just come back, verify a few things, edit the listings up slightly, and click publish. It saves you so much time, so you can have your software listing or your VA listing with the software, and it's going to list as fast as possible. You don't need to sit there and verify anything, and you can go about your life. You can go watch TV. You can go do something else in your business. You can go walk your dog, whatever. Another key caveat to understand is in settings, like we covered with the profit here, you want to make sure that your run bulk is set to the specific marketplace that you want it to go. Okay, so obviously it will run the bulk to Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, Poshmark. So if we wanted to run the bulk list to Poshmark here, we'd then select Poshmark, we'd come down, we'd save our settings, save the button status, and save the overall settings, okay? We're going to list this really fast to Poshmark. I typically don't do this anymore. I have my VA do it, but all these look fine. There is a specific way in which I list to Poshmark and a specific system that I have them look for with the title, with the description. But to save your time, we're not going to do that today. I have other tutorials on this channel. If you need to know how to list to Poshmark using ZDrop or how to dropship on Poshmark, just search the channel for that or go to the specific playlist. It's all there for you for free. So this is going to be a kid's toy, puzzles and games. We'll say it has a multiple quantity. It's going to be a custom. We'll say one size so that it can be for both boys and girls because it is. There we go. No color, no brand. Usually I have my VA add 3 tags, but we're going to save your time here today. And then we'll just the original price to the listing price because the listing price is what matters on Poshmark. Then we're going to next, list, and then list it. All right, and now we just listed that one to Poshmark. So now let's list one more so I can show you an example of how fast it will list to Kidizen from Poshmark using List Perfectly. Because again, understanding the different nuances of, hey, if I list using ZDrop to Poshmark, I can do it pretty quickly with the bulk lister, and then I can literally take those same exact listings and in a few minutes list them to Kidizen using List Perfectly from Poshmark, right? But if I were to list from Facebook Marketplace, for example, to Poshmark, it would go a little bit slower. So you need to understand how both softwares work and which one lists to what website from where a little bit faster. You're going to learn that through experience, but if you have a specific question on one to another specific one, just drop it in the comment section below and I can answer it for you. I've listed to all of them from all of them. So we're going to copy this to Poshmark. There we go. Now apply it. Obviously, you want to drag your best picture over because the listing picture doesn't matter. The platform is the most important thing. I'm going to take a little bit out of the title. Again, I'm not going to verify too many things for the sake of saving your time, but everything else looks good here. These perfect gift, blah, blah, blah. Category, again, is going to be kids, toys, learning toys, new with tags. You would put tags in here ideally. Original price, we're going to move that down to the listing price, and then we're going to list it. Too long of a description, and then we're going to list it. But the real benefit of it is now using List Perfectly, as you can see here with the start selecting, and you can then take Poshmark listings over to Kidizen. So you can do them one by clicking on the specific listing on this little green button, or you can start selecting and just have a bunch of them going at once. Come down and start selecting different kids' toys that you've listed recently. And look how fast it lists to Kidizen. Obviously, we just have 9 selected. I typically have my VA do like 50 at a time, and it lists very quickly. So we're going to select Kidizen. We're going to copy them. And watch how fast it lists, and then you just have to verify a few things, which I'll obviously take you through. And that's how fast it copies 9 listings to Kidizen from Poshmark. It's the fastest in my experience from any website with any software is Poshmark to Kidizen using List Perfectly. So that's why I wanted to make a video on it. And that's why if you're listing kid stuff or anything like it to a site like Poshmark, you might as well also take them to Kidizen for extra potential sales. Kidizen by no means will make you a millionaire, but you can make sales on it. I do pretty consistently. And it's another site where you can obviously diversify the sales and the people that are seeing your listings and potentially make more money. Also, you can drop ship directly to the customer on Kidizen. You don't need to do like dropship arbitrage or anything like that. You can just facilitate the sale like you would on any other dropshipping platform directly to the customer. So the first thing you're going to do is categorize it. And then as soon as you select a category and a subcategory, you will see the description then pop in there. You'll notice that it's not in there right away, but as soon as you select a category and subcategory, it should be in there. Gender, you can just go all genders. Size, one size. So you're pretty much just clicking a few buttons here and then clicking publish. It doesn't take very long. Don't need to put the brand in. Obviously, the condition here would be new with tag. You won't need to do anything with like the description or the price or anything like that. Two reasons for that. First and foremost, you've already edited it for Poshmark specifically, and you've already marked the price up for Poshmark. And since Poshmark has the highest fees of any platform, you know if it's profitable on Poshmark up to your standards of profitability, it's definitely going to be up to your standards of profitability on Kidizen. Your margins will actually even be more on Kidizen than they were on Poshmark. So you don't need to change anything else with List Perfectly from Poshmark to Kidizen. That's why it's a no-brainer. The next part, you're going to estimate the size. Now, if you're doing dropship arbitrage, the size would matter. However, because you're actually not doing it that way and you're actually facilitating the sale from the supplier, in this case, Amazon, directly to the customer, the size doesn't matter because the supplier is going to actually ship it to the customer and you don't need to pay for it. The size is only relevant here if you plan on using the Kidizen label and then they give you a specific label for that weight and for that size. But because you're not doing that, you're not shipping it yourself, you're facilitating the sale on Kidizen, like we covered you could already do. The size doesn't really matter, so just always go with medium or small or whatever you want to go. If it's obviously a very big item, then pick large. Use your judgment, but it really doesn't matter. Ultimately, this is just going to cut into your margins. So if you're doing drop shipping directly to the customer, just always pick small because then you'll make more sales because then the customer won't have to pay as much for the shipping and your listing will look more attractive to them because the price will ultimately be lower overall. The list price is already in there, as you can see, and then you just click submit. So I went through that one really slow to explain it to you, but now let me fire through a bunch of them very quickly, and I'll show you just how fast you can list on Kidizen using this. So category, this is going to be kids toys. Gender is going to be all genders. Size is going to be one size. Condition is going to be new. Don't need to change any of that stuff, and then submit it. Kids toys. Obviously, if it's not kids toys, pick the category. You'll get better at picking the categories as you go through it, and you realize what categories are actually on here. There aren't that many. It's not that big of a deal. Then we're going to submit it. Category is going to be kids toys. Why can't I find it? Kids toys. Gender is all genders. Size is one size. Condition is new with tags. Small, and then submit it. And you get the picture there. You can literally move through these Kidizen listings like in 15 seconds, maybe 5 to 10 seconds, honestly. And that's why I say this is how you can build a Kidizen dropshipping business super fast with literally no extra effort on your part if you're utilizing softwares like ZDrop and List Perfectly to your advantage in a smart way. So I really hope that helps. If you have any questions whatsoever, drop them in the comment section down below. I would love to answer them for you, and I'll see you in the next one.